Welcome back into Occupy Democrats. And as the old phrase goes in this breaking story, it's not just that you're wrong or just that you're being condemned, but also by whom. It certainly matters sometimes if it's your spouse or your children who finds you wrong as opposed to a stranger. Well, in this breaking story, one of the key elements, as we all know, that's the subject of the day is free speech and the First Amendment and Donald Trump and Jimmy Kimmel and everything that's going on. But who condemns whom and what's the value of that? Well, in this breaking story, one of the things we have to recognize is free speech is one thing, but entertainers, performers, and comics over the decades in history of the United States of America have been key in having free speech, both for entertainment and laughter value to ease tensions. And when we get that attacked, the artists and the writers and the performers have to speak out. And in this breaking story, oh, have they? Because Donald Trump, if you recall, did say this.
After years and years of illegal and unconstitutional federal efforts to restrict free expression.
And let's bear in mind, Charlie Kirk did say this.
Turning Point USA is known for advocating for free speech on college campuses. What do you see as the biggest threat to free expression in higher education today?
The left.
Would you like to elaborate?
My wish for the left is that you will become liberal again and no longer leftist. Free speech is a liberal value. It is not a left-wing value. It is wrong, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in the Q&A. You should be allowed to say outrageous things. You should be allowed to say contrarian things. Free speech is a birthright that you gave us, and you guys decided not to codify it, and now it's poof, it's basically gone. And I think there's something really troubling about that.
He even poignantly made it about a potential British Prime Minister conservative who would not want to see this happen.
Because do you want Nigel Farage, Prime Minister, to be able to lock you up if you criticize his government?
And yet Trump still said this.
And what do you make Pam Bondi saying she's going to go after hate speech? Is that, I mean, a lot of your allies say hate speech is free speech.
Should probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart.
But he also said this.
I will also sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech to America. Maybe they'll come after ABC. Well, ABC paid me $16 million recently for a form of hate speech, right? Your company paid me $16 million for a form of hate speech, so maybe they'll have to go after you. Look, we want everything to be fair. It hasn't been fair, and the radical left has done tremendous damage to the country.
And yet, ultimately, what Trump is really about is, no, free speech is just what I want to hear. So in this breaking story, yes, the Performers Guilds, Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, SAG-AFTRA, and the Writers Guild are all about condemning Donald Trump. This is the story. Breaking news, SAG-AFTRA and the WGA slam Jimmy Kimmel Live suspension. Breaking, the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild unleashed scathing responses to the MAGA-fueled firing of Jimmy Kimmel and Donald Trump's blatant war on free speech. We have entered dark, dark times, in quotes. Suppression of free speech and retaliation for speaking out on significant issues of public concern run counter to the fundamental rights we all rely on, stated SAG-AFTRA on behalf of its actors. In quotes, democracy thrives when diverse points of view are expressed, they continued. The decision to suspend airing Jimmy Kimmel Live is the type of suppression and retaliation that endangers everyone's freedoms. SAG-AFTRA stands with all media artists and defends their right to express their diverse points of view and everyone's right to hear them. Jimmy Kimmel has the support of Hollywood unions. SAG-AFTRA and WGA both slammed ABC's move to pause Jimmy Kimmel Live over comments made about Charlie Kirk's killing. Kimmel is a member of both unions. Yesterday, ABC announced that it would be pulling Jimmy Kimmel Live off the air indefinitely after he made some incredibly tame remarks about the death of Charlie Kirk. In quotes, he said, "We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it," said Kimmel. The Writers Guild of America West and Writers Guild of America East also both condemned the decision and said it stands with Kimmel and his writers. The right to speak our minds and to disagree with each other, to disturb even, is at the very heart of what it means to be a free people. It is not to be denied, not by violence, not by the abuse of government power, nor by the acts of corporate cowardice, it noted. As a Guild, we stand united in opposition to anyone who uses their power and influence to silence the voices of writers or anyone who speaks in dissent. If free speech applied only to the ideas we like, we needn't have bothered to write it into the Constitution. What we have signed on to, painful as it may be at times, is the freeing agreement to disagree. Shame on those in government who forget this founding truth. As for our employers, our words have made you rich. Silencing us impoverishes the whole world. The firing is rendered even more farcical when one considers Kimmel's comments last week in which he called the killing senseless. He also posted an Instagram message sending love to Kirk's family as well as victims of gun violence across the country. He has been nothing but empathetic and gracious throughout this tragedy, and still conservatives are out for his blood. The irony in all of this is that Kirk was supposedly a free speech warrior, but now his death is being used to justify an all-out assault on free speech. Republicans don't actually care about principles or decency. All they care about in the MAGA era is the raw exercise of power against their political enemies. We have to remember, guys, Bob Hope, USO tours during Vietnam. We can go on with Charlie Chaplin post-World War I and what occurred in World War II in terms of being able to have a laugh. Every single year in America, during the Super Bowl at some point, and other major sports events, we check in with fans of those teams who are serving across some place on the other side of the globe. Sports, entertainment, the military and the U.S. government are inextricably tied. And when you start as a government power, politician, or the president to actually denigrate, dismiss, and try to silence the performers and artists who help us all get through our day out of your need for power and the destruction of the First Amendment, it's actually a whole different level than what you might even feel. And that's what's going on right now. You guys hang in there. We have to fight back. Stay frosty.